Hey guys, welcome to Convocourses podcast, where we're going to talk about all things cybersecurity related to security compliance in particular. But if there's any other cybersecurity stuff that you guys want to talk about, we can do that. I do this once a week at 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time on Saturdays. In the future, going forward, I would like to do these more often throughout the week. But let's get into this. So I wanted to talk to you guys about some new features that I have on Convocourses.com. I added some stuff that people have been asking me about for years, and now I'm going to finally try it. I'm going to try it for about 1-2 months. We'll see how it goes, and then after that, I don't know after that. But so let me show you here. So what I did was, if you want to contact me about anything, you can contact me at convocourses.com. And that'll go straight to me. Another thing that I added here is consulting work. So every now and then I get these one-off questions about people who want me to help them with their organization. And the things that I can help with include, but are not limited to, writing system security plans, writing cybersecurity documentation, risk assessments. I can do those. I can help you with that for sure. I can help you with most security compliance things within your organization, to include PCI compliance, NIST, cybersecurity framework, NIST 800. Those are all things that I'm very familiar with. And if you want to, I've got a DUNS number. Just contact me, and we'll talk about it. You know, if you have short-term work, that's my best. Like, you want to contact me and say, hey Bruce, we just want you to come through and look at our documentation. We've got this and that. Could you help us with this? You know, we'll work something out. We'll do some kind of contracting hours, and then I can help you out with that. And all this is coming in June, because I'm going to be free in June. Professional training. If you want me to come in and train your organization, reach out to me. Ask, that I'm available starting in June. So please feel free to reach out. I have a CISSP. I have an ISC2 cap. I'm super deep on NIST 800 level risk management framework type stuff, but I can also do risk assessments. I can also do, I've got many different skills, so just contact me. We'll see what we can do. Another thing that I'm offering that people have been contacting me about for a long time is coaching. So people have been asking me if I could do one-on-one coaching, and to be honest, I just have not had the time until now. In June, I'm going to start offering one-on-one coaching and mentorships. So let's say that you are trying to get into this career field, but let's say you have very limited experience and you've never done an interview for a cybersecurity position. You've never worked as an information system security officer or worked in a cybersecurity position, and you're about to do security compliance for sure. If this is you and you want a mentor, you want somebody to coach you, you want somebody to stay with you for as long as you need, contact me. We'll work something out. But what I'm offering is, I help you to get the job. You get the job. You keep me on as your coach or mentor. And then I help you in the background. I'm your advisor, your direct advisor. I can maybe even help you with documentation and that's what I'm offering to you. But contact me. We'll work something out. Those are the things that people have been asking me about for many years. I just haven't had the time because I do this stuff part-time. I do this on the weekends, but very soon I'm going to be doing it a lot more for about 2 months. I'm going to try it out. Okay, so we talked about coaching. We talked about consulting. We talked about contacting me and how to contact me. I'm really excited about it. So just hit me up if you're interested in that. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is a couple of new things that I'm creating, like as we speak. When I'm not on these lives, I started actually creating more course material. So I've got a free template that I've compiled together, and I'm going to allow people to start downloading that. And just to kind of walk you through what goes into this thing. If you've already bought the course, a lot of this stuff you already have. Some of it you already have. But I've updated some of the stuff that I think that a person would be helpful to you. And one of them, the main one, is a template for state and federal system security plans for NIST 837. So I'm just going to kind of show you what this thing looks like. And this will be a free downloadable that you can just get in there, start looking at stuff. You can mess with it, change the names of it, put your organization's letterhead up on there, all that kind of stuff. I've got stuff for cloud, stuff for federal and state governments. But here's the system security plan. Of course, you would want to put your own resume, the system name, whatever system that you're actually doing the risk management framework on, the version if you want to just delete that if you like. If any kind of distribution restrictions you want to put there, you could put them there. A summary, you would just go ahead and remove this and put your own summary of the system there, an executive summary. An overview of the plan, the security plan itself, an overview of the system, maybe a more high-level technical. This is where you might want to drop like a high-level diagram, network diagram. And it's got lots of other great stuff in here. Each one of the controls you can immediately see whether it's compliant or non-compliant. Some organizations, unfortunately, are still using .doc, and so people will ask me from time to time, hey, can I get a template? A lot of people go to my actual Convocourses site just to download templates, but now kind of consolidating them all in one spot. And it just goes through each one of the controls, and you can add and subtract more stuff as you tailor your controls and go through each one of the control families. But that's what this template does. But I've got a lot more in there. Some of them directly from FedRAMP. FedRAMP has some of the best templates, some of the best information. You've got an incident response plan here, and that one's pretty good. They've also got, a lot of times people will put plans in a spreadsheet, which is, it can be better depending on your organization. If your organization has a lot of system controls and a lot of stuff going on, then probably you want to do an Excel spreadsheet instead. A lot of organizations are actually moving away from the spreadsheets and the .doc, but some of the legacy ones are still doing this kind of stuff. One of the ones that I think is really helpful, and you can just use this one as like notes and stuff, is the POAM spreadsheet. This is one I use quite a bit at many different organizations that I've worked at, and it's talking about, okay, the system name, what organization it is, and then it's identifying each one of the controls. You would identify the control, the weaknesses. Let's say it's an AC control, and the weakness is that the organization didn't put it in a policy, so it's AC1. AC1 is access control policy, and let's say the organization doesn't have a policy. So you would put, I can actually like fill it out here. You would put AC1, and then the deficiency is lack of access policy. And then you'd put an identifier. It could be like 0001B or whatever, right? Because you might have 100 of these things. So you want to identify it. Point of contact is the primary point of contact, whoever that might be. Let me make this thing a little bit bigger. The primary contact would be whoever is the main person who's controlling this. Might be the ISSM or senior level exec, whoever's going to write it or have final say so on that document. Resources required, you would probably put the POC or that department that they work at, the schedule. You want to put milestones in there, like how are they going to actually do this? What's the first step? The first step is notify the CIO. Next step is research all the things that need to go into this AC policy. Another thing you might want to do is gather all the stakeholders who are going to help you write this thing. Another thing, milestone might be on August 1st, we're going to actually write the first draft of it using all of our stakeholders. So those are some of the things that you would do to fill this thing out. The plan of action and milestone is what's called in NIST. They have different names for it in different risk assessment organizations and different frameworks. They call it a little bit different, but all of them have something similar to this, a plan of action. But that's one of the things that you can download, and that's coming soon, so keep on the lookout for that. It'll look a little bit like this. Free download, and if you already signed up, you don't have to, just download it. And then the other thing, I'm reaching out to you guys, my huge base here, to ask if anybody is interested in actually getting this book. I'm releasing this, I'm going to have this book on Amazon, but before I release it, I would like to give it out to a couple, anybody who's interested. If you're not going to read it, if you're just going to, it's just going to sit on your desktop or whatever, then, it's fine. But if you are actually interested in checking this thing out or having it in your inventory, having it as a reference guide and reviewing it and then giving me a review on Amazon, then please feel free, email me, and then I will send you a free copy of this. And then I'll reach out to you once it gets on Amazon. I'll say, hey, James, could you go and give me a review? If you don't have to, obviously, but if I give you the book, I'm expecting, hey, give me a review on Amazon, and I'll give you a book. And then here's the thing: I'm gonna have a lot more books. I'm working on them right now as we speak. I've got a lot more time on my hands coming real soon, so I'm gonna be writing. There's a couple. One I'm writing right now, and it's gonna be it's something I've never seen anyone do in compliance, which is to break down each one of in a book. I've never seen them do this in a book. Break down each one of the controls that you need to do and what you need to do per phase, per step. In each step, what do you do? And so that's the book I'm working on now. That one's obviously going to take a lot more time. The foundations one is kind of a high level view. Like, let's say you're more used to PCI compliance and you've never done risk management framework for NIST 800 before. This would be a great first step for you to look at it at a high level and say, okay, here's what I have to do. Here's the steps. And then it's looking at it from the ISSO's perspective. So it's a useful book for somebody who's a little bit newer. Actually, if you need a refresher and you want to know what the NIST 800, what goes into it, you happen to be a cybersecurity person, but you want to know a little bit more, then this book is great. So reach out to me. I'll send you a free copy of this book. And then once it goes out on Amazon, I'll ask you for a review, and of course, you're not under no obligation to give me that review. I'm just asking us as friends, as peers, to just go ahead and give me a review on Amazon. And then if I see your review, I'm like, man, James, he really actually did this. I'm gonna send him my next book, right? And then my next book, and have you review it, and you'll be my go-to person. So if you're interested in getting a free copy of this before I put it on Amazon, it's going to go out probably within the next couple weeks. Just let me know. It will be listed on my site as a paid book, but I'm offering it to you guys who are watching these lives with me every week for free. So what are the other things I need to talk about? Probably need to pay some bills real quick. So I want to let you guys know, if you didn't know, this is Convocourses. I have a site called Convocourses.com where I teach security compliance, specifically NIST 800 risk management framework, but I plan on expanding that to other things like CIS controls, maybe PCI, HIPAA, many other things I could actually teach on here. Haven't had the time, but now I do. So there's a security control assessment stuff that's coming out real soon. Some people have reached out to me about some other frameworks that I would like to put some courses, some free stuff, some paid stuff out there to help people out and to keep the conversation going, right? Because the conversation is where the learning really happens in my personal experience. So that's what I want to let you guys know about. I've got some, let me see, there's some other things I had. Okay. Let me see. Somebody asked me, hey, Wayne, how you doing, man? Somebody asked me, wait, hold on a second. Let me switch screens real quick. I've been getting a lot of growth on this site, and it's really been pretty amazing to see the growth of it, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's been pretty cool. It's been very rewarding, and thank you guys, everybody who's been watching me on a regular basis. It's pretty amazing. I really never expected to get any kind of attention, let alone have almost 10,000 subscribers. So that's great. I appreciate everybody. Somebody asked me, sir, thank you for your information. I would like to ask if you know where I can find a separation of duties plan template, or maybe how to create that type of plan for a specific system. for a specific system. So normally, Amina, what I see is they put it in a policy, and the policy covers that particular system. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys have seen it any different. So let me just show you what I mean, and then we could talk about the actual specific separation of duty document that you can do. So this is kind of how I normally see it. This is a real world example from a site. They have this public information. It's not a client or anything. This is just some site I just grabbed off the internet. So they have a policy, and this policy specifically addresses the separation of duty. So this is an actual sample that you could actually follow. And let's just see what they have here. Separation of duties for a moderate level system, information system. So this is covering any moderate level system that they have, moderate being a little bit more important than a low and a little less important than a high system. But what they're saying here is they have the purpose, they have the scope and all that kind of stuff. Where the rubber meets the road, where you actually get the meat is around like the background and how you enforce it and things like that. But this is kind of how you might write it. So they said separation of duties, and then they explain it real quick. Also known as segregation of duties, is an attempt to ensure that no single individual has the capability of executing a particular task or set of tasks. An example of that might be if you had if you were the person who implemented the controls, and you probably are not going to be the same person who assesses those controls. You can do a self-assessment, right? You can do that, but at some point the organization is going to have an outside person or another organization come in and do a risk assessment. Like you would do a self-assessment, like you implemented it, and then you run a scan on your own system to see where you're at. Right, that's different. That's a self-assessment. I do all those all the time, and organizations regularly do that kind of thing. But when you actually have another a risk assessor who has to have to be objective on a moderate system, there has to be a separation of duty from the person who implemented and the person who's going to assess it. And other examples of a separation of duties might be a separation between the information system security officer and the information system security manager. Like, those, you can't have those be the same person. So the manager is the person who appoints information assist they're the ones who literally sometimes hires the cybersecurity professionals, and they can't be the same person, right? So there has to be a separation. So they kind of explain it here real quick and give an example of why you would have that, or what it means, and then why you want to have that. It negatively impacts the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of the system if you don't have separation of duties. So this is one example of how you could actually document a separation of duties. They did it in a policy. You could do this in a procedure. That's another kind of document you can do. If you had to do it for a specific system, you would want to do it on a procedure that covers other systems like that, because unless you have like one system and that's it, one and done. I've done systems like that where it's air gapped and it's just this one, it's a standalone system, and you have to write like a little procedure or policy that addresses it. But this is a great way to do it. Like you could make this into some sort of more detailed process. That would be something that you could do. So I hope that answers your question. And I want to leave like a little note here for her. So bear with me real quick. Switch the screen like that. I'm just going to go ahead and reply to her and say, covered this in a video, but here is a sample. Okay, there we go. Just wanted to answer that one real quick. And I've got some other questions that I'm going to address. Let me see. Somebody else asked me. Man, I'm getting a lot of compliments on here. That's really cool, man. I appreciate everybody. Somebody said, thanks, Bruce. Said, sir, I've been watching your videos for a while now. Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? Had a CAP certification and interview preparation. I think that what they mean is, can I help them prepare for a CAP and the interview? I think that's what they mean, because it's, sometimes you type really fast. Sometimes I'm trying to interpret what people mean because they're typing really fast and anyway. So I have a CAP certification. So if you didn't know, a CAP certification is from the ISC2 squared. Those are the same people who do the CISSP, and one of their certifications is called a CAP, and that certification is specifically tied to the NIST. It's all about certified authorization professional, and it's all about getting the system within the organization to the authorization. And it's very, you would think it'd be practical, and what do you do here, what do you do? It's more like what documents you need. Like you need to know the process and all the steps in the NIST 837 is its main focus. I would say that there's certain documents that you could use for free. Like you don't have to use this official guide, which is like $50. This is one of these. Let me see if I can find it. There's an official guide for the CAP course, and that's the one that I've used. This one here. This is it right here. It's okay. It's okay. It's very academic. You can trust that the information that they have in the book is in line with the actual ISC2 square, because it's the official guide on the CAP. So I have this book, and I would recommend it because it's one of the only ones out there that you can, that you could say that this is the one right here. It's reputable, right? So yeah, I would recommend this book. And then another thing is I would recommend the FIPS 199. Let me show you FIPS 199. FIPS 199. FIPS 200. This is FIPS 199. This is for security categorization of information systems, federal information systems. And it breaks down how you actually categorize the systems. What's the steps? It's only like an 8-page document. It's pretty short, but this stuff's on the test. Like you need to know this one really well. You gotta understand the concept of this one. Another one is FIPS 200. That stuff. This is another great resource for that test. Minimum security requirements for an information system. Once you categorize a system, it has to have a certain minimum level of security controls in accordance with what impact level it is. If it's an impact level, if it's a low impact system, if it's a moderate impact system, there's a certain level that it's supposed to be at, and FIPS 200 kind of touches on that. Another one that you'll have to know, of course, is the FIPS 837, and that's the actual risk management framework process. You need to know all the steps that are within it. The FIPS 837, and that's this right here. They cover a couple of other ones I was kind of surprised about. They cover FIPS 30, which is risk management. It's kind of really high level. It's not what you would think, but it's a really high level document. But yeah, this is FIPS. This is NIST 837, and this is covered. You need to know all the steps pretty well. They don't really talk about like what you do. It's not like, it's more like a academic exercise. It's one of those kind of certifications. If you've ever taken an ISC2 certification, that's kind of how they are. They're not very technical. They're very high level, very management type certifications. But yeah, this is the stuff you need to know right here. Authorization boundaries. You need to understand the concepts very well. Another place I would go that's a great resource besides the FIPS documentation I told you, besides NIST 837, NIST 830, NIST 53, I would say. Besides those, you also need to go to the site. Go to isc2squared.org and go to the actual CAP page. That's where I'm at right now. They're going to ask you for your to create an account with them. You don't create an account. They're just going to ask you for your email, your name and your email. You can make a fake name, whatever. Put an email in there, and then they're going to open it up. They just want to be able to send you newsletters or whatever, advertise to you. But yeah, so here it is right here. This is the ultimate free CAP ultimate guide. This is one of the best resources that you're going to use as you take your test. And so I already signed up for this, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to download this and let's look at it together. I think my link expired. Let me see if I have it still. Here it is. Okay, here it is. My bad. All right, here it is right here. Let's download this thing. Yep, this hasn't changed much. Let's see. So let me show you like the main part. You definitely want to read all this stuff. Read all of this. This right here. See this right here? This is perfect. Look at this. Look at this thing. This process you need to know. This process right here. And actually they're missing a step because they don't have preparation in here. But they need to update that. That's wow. Anyway, so these steps right here: categorize, select, implement, assess, authorize, and ongoing continuous monitoring. These are the steps. And then see this tiered, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. They ask about this, what you do in each step, and the concept. They don't really go into what you do in each step, but you need to understand the concept of each step. The concept is the most important thing for this particular test. Let me see. Another part that's really, really important is this right here. This is it right here. This right here. So when you do study, you want to pay real close attention to this thing. And so what this is a breakdown of how much of each domain is on the test. So you see 16% is the highest portion of the test, and that's coming from assess and audit the security controls. That's the assess portion of the steps, continuous monitoring of the steps, and the one you can't see here is implementation of the steps. And then the least one is going to be authorization. That makes sense because as cybersecurity professionals, we don't do a lot on the authorization piece because by that time we're giving them the package, and the decision makers are the ones who spend the most time in the authorization piece of this whole thing. So this right here is where you want to spend your time, like how you want to strategize your study and all that kind of stuff. Wayne says, so one of the important things that I learned recently is that your encryption methods needs to be FIPS validated with the NIST CVMP, and if not, NIST considers protected data as plain text. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic, and that's dealing with. Let me check my knowledge real quick. NIST. This is FIPS 140. 140. I know this one because I used to have to deal with this every damn day, and I freaking hated it. 140-2 because cryptography is not my main thing, you know what I mean? So I'm like, every time it comes up, I have to research more stuff about this or that, legacy encryption. So yeah, FIPS 1. This is what you're talking about, right, Wayne? So FIPS 140-2 comes up a lot in the federal government because this is the standard that they use to make sure that their cryptographic modules are within the federal requirements standard, the federal standard. So let's kind of go into this one. FIPS 140-2 is something you probably need to be familiar with. Change notice. Let's see what this. Oh, okay. It's just talking about how it just updated. Okay. So as Wayne said, the encryption has to be up to par with FIPS 140-2. And so FIPS is the Federal Information Processing Standard, and essentially it regulates some of the processing of federal information systems. So there's a FIPS 199, which is talking about categorization of the system to make sure that the system gets security controls that are commensurate with the with the level of importance of the system. In other words, in layman's terms, it means the system has to have a level of protection that reflects the importance of the system. If the system's super important, you need to have X level of protection on it. And then you have FIPS 200, which is determining how you're going to select the security controls. And then you have FIPS 140-2, which is what we're looking at here right now, which is cryptographic modules. And this just goes into exactly that, just cryptographic modules, making sure that they are at a level that's of protection that particular system needs, and that you're not using an out-of-date cryptographic module. So, man, I had to look at this so many times. It just kept coming up because, information technology is constantly evolving. So it's every time there's a new exploit or somebody breaks a certain thing, and there's a new, like one example would be SHA-1, SHA-1, which was cracked by a supercomputer in China. So nobody can use that. And then you have legacy stuff like SSL, which is some people are still using on the internet. Unfortunately, some sites you go to who are using your credit card information and stuff, they're using a legacy cryptographic method, which has a bunch of weaknesses and vulnerabilities that have recently been found. So you shouldn't be using those. Those are no longer FIPS 140-2 compliant. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about FIPS 140-2. If you're in this space and you're doing NIST 800 type work, FIPS stuff is going to come up every now and then. There's nothing to be alarmed about. It's just talking about the processing of the system. Are we adequately protecting the information as it's being processed? That's the main focus of the FIPS stuff. There's lots of other FIPS documents out there if you go to the NIST system. Okay, let me see. Was there anything else? I think I had some more questions here. Let me see. Got another thank you here. Somebody asked me interview prepper. Oh, okay, same. Okay, I get this question a lot. Interview preparation. How do I prepare for the interview? They said they're going for the CAP course, and they said, how do I prepare for the actual interview? All right, I did a whole video about this, and it got a little bit of traction, and I want to show you guys that one. Show you that video. Let me just see if I can grab it. It's if you type in RMF ISSO interview questions. Wow, I must have searched this before or something. All right, so let me show you here. Show you what I'm looking at. All right, here it is right here. And I did a few of these actually, because a lot of people were asking me this question, and I when it comes to risk management framework, ISSO, I've mastered the interview on this. Like, I know what they're gonna ask me. I know how to prepare for it. There's rarely a time. Every time I get an interview, if it's a risk management framework job, I'll get the job. I get the job, if I want it, I got it. And it's because I know what they're going to ask me, and I have a certain technique. The first thing I do, if you really want to prepare, the first thing you do is you go to the job description, because they're going to basically tell you what they're going to ask you on the question. What they're going to ask you is going to be on your resume, and it's going to be in their job description. So you want to go through your resume, right? You'd be surprised how many people don't know. Myself included, I'll forget some stuff I did. Like I haven't touched it in a long time. I'm like, oh yeah, I did implement 400 Cisco routers back when I was in the military or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go through your resume just to jog your memory. Go through your resume. They're going to ask you stuff on your resume. So make sure you go through your resume and know it, right? Like, have it on the top of your head. And another thing is, go to the job description. Know what they're going to ask you. Like, they're going to say, they're going to look at requirements. They're going to ask you questions from their requirements. So you want to go look at their requirements and know what they need. Like, if they say, well, we need somebody who knows PCI compliance, and you say, like, I don't really know PCI compliance, you might want to have an answer. You might want to just take a look at PCI compliance before the interview. I've done that before. There was a framework they wanted me to know, and I didn't know it. So I just went and looked at it real quick. I'm like, okay, I know the 5 steps of this particular framework. I'll tell them, and what my response to them when they say, well, do you know PCI compliance? Well, I've never done PCI compliance before, but I know what it is, and I know that there's 4 steps, and I know that it's very similar to what I've already done before with the NIST 800 risk management framework stuff. So I can pick it up pretty fast. I've never done one, but I'm sure I could take it on. I'm anxious to learn it, right? Show them that you're a team player. You're anxious to learn it. So stuff like that. You don't have to have the exact answer that they want, but you can have a better answer, something they didn't even expect. But that only comes when you prepare for it, preparing by reading your own resume and preparing by reading their description. All right. Let me see if I have any more questions here. I'm going to dive into this thing, see if I have any more questions. Let me see here. Going back to my questions, my Q&A here. If you guys have any questions for me whatsoever, feel free to ask me. Sometimes on these lives, I'll spend more time with my chat than I do with the actual stuff I have prepared, or than I have going through these questions like this, because I have so many people asking me. Let me see. Honestly, you just made the ISSO job as simple as ABC. I love your presentation. Wow, thanks. Thank you. I appreciate that. Your kind words. Let me see. Like that one. Okay. I tried to answer this one last week, but my power was out. My internet was out for like 2-3 days. Like I could not get back to it. But this one right here, they said SSCP maps to IA level 2 on the 8140, which makes it equivalent to the Security Plus in that regard. And I believe that's true. But what he means, let me see, which one is he responding to? He's talking to me about when I compared the SSCP, the Security Plus, and the CISSP. Somebody asked me years ago, which one should they get? Which one did I recommend? And I don't remember what I said there, to be honest with you. But I'm pretty sure it's not any different than what I'm about to say now. But I want to answer this. I want to interpret what they're saying here, because this might sound like gibberish to some people. So what they're talking about is this right here is a security. This is a cybersecurity certification. And Security Plus is a cybersecurity certification. And we were comparing these three, this one and CISSP as well. So the SSCP is actually on this site right here. Let me show you what we're talking about here. So if we go to the ISC2 site, just go, here we go. If we go to their certifications page, we'll see a list of their many certifications here. And so you can see that the CISSP, there's the SSCP that we're talking about right there. And then there's the CAP that we just talked about a while ago. We talk about this every now and then on this channel. Security Plus not on here because that's on CompTIA. Now, what they were doing to compare these, what he mentioned was something called the 80. This is something I talk about quite a bit on this channel. 8140 certification. It's like a certification guide, and it's really good for cybersecurity people who are going into the federal or the state government, because this federal and state government oftentimes will use this this little diagram, this little breakdown here. And what he was talking about is, well, first of all, let me explain this thing real quick. So what you're looking at is the approved baseline for certifications for the federal government, which many other organizations outside the federal government actually use, including state, including contractors working with the state and federal government in the United States. They use this thing because they need it for contracting. Like if you want to get a big contract with the government, a lot of times they'll say, look, we want to hire a help desk team, but you have to be IAT level 1. We need 5. You need to have at least 5 people who are IAT level 1. And what they mean to say by that is, okay, I think I just went into this person's site by accident, but let's see if we have a better representation from here. Okay, yeah, here we go. Here we go right here. So what they mean by that, if the government says, hey, we want your team has to have at least 5 IAT level 1 people, that means that they should have these certifications right here. An A+, a CCNA, a Network Plus, or a SSCP. And I believe there's some other things that you can mix and match with these certifications. Like if you have, I think it's 6 years or something like this, don't quote me, but so if you have 6 years of experience, you don't need a certification. Or if you have a degree plus 4 years of experience, you can have this X level certification or whatever, right? You can mix them and match them and stuff. All that stuff's broken down a little bit further, I believe, and it's in the cybersecurity workforce document 8140. I think that's what it is. But anyway, the breakdown of it looks a little something like this. So IAT level 1. Now what this guy was talking about was that IAT level 2 SSCP certification, which is a ISC2 squared certification, is at the same level as a Security Plus, which is right here, a CompTIA certification. So if you got either one of these, according to the federal government, they're pretty much, these are the same level. I will say that both of these are great at preparing you for the CISSP. So I just wanted to interpret that, break that down a little bit. I think I had at least one more question. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, let's see. We have another one here. They say, this is advice. They said, do the CISSP, and if you have time later, do the CASP. The latter will help you with the CPE wise. So CPEs, what he's talking about here is that these are 2 certifications, CASP and CISSP, and he's suggesting that you do the CISSP first, then you do the CASP because it helps you to maintain your CISSP. With the CISSP, and I think with the CASP too, actually, you have to continuously learn, and you do that by continuously you read articles, you can teach classes, you can read books, you can go to conferences, you can teach conferences. All of those things count towards continued education. As long as you're constantly in this field and keeping fresh with the information, then all that stuff counts. Like even if you do internal corporate training and stuff, that also counts for your CPEs. When you do you have to do a certain level of hours a month for that. That's what they mean here. And then let me show you what they're talking about with the CASP. So the CASP is another certification. It's a high level certification from CompTIA. Let me see if I can grab that one. Here it is right here. And I heard CASP Plus is actually pretty hard. And I've never taken it before myself, but I've heard it was actually pretty hard. A lot of people, they can't pass the CISSP, so they'll try the CASP and then pass the CASP. But then I've heard from a friend of mine who said he took the CASP, well, he definitely took the CASP and the CISSP. He said the CASP was hard. So, and this dude has a CCNP, which is super hard. And several other professional level certs. So if he says it's hard, that mug is hard. Let me see. Oh, another thing is that the CASP is actually listed on the approved baseline certification. The CASP is no joke. The CASP, I know, like on this channel a couple times I talk crap about the CASP, but the CASP is no joke. It's right up there with CISSP. It's a professional level certification. I heard it was super hard. So yeah. All right, moving on here. I think I had one more question. Just gonna like these comments. I had one more that I really wanted to answer. Bunch of spam. Man, I had one where somebody asked me, how do I manage time zones when I'm and then here it is right here. Okay. All right, so Travis N says, and he's talking about my video where I did a remote. I was doing a remote job from another country, which I've done from time. I don't do it very often. I mean, here soon I'm gonna start doing it a lot more, but haven't done this a lot in the past. But how did you manage time zone differences while working remotely internationally? What hours was your work day like overseas while overseas? Okay, so here's the thing. Here's one thing. If you plan on doing this, one of the most brutal things about working for a U.S. company and then going to another country, right? Excluding Canada and Mexico, because they pretty much have the same time zones, Pacific to Eastern. They pretty much have the same kind of time zones we have, and it's only like a few hours difference, right? At most, maybe 3 hours, one way or the other. But wow, so if you go overseas like me, I'm literally going to the other side of the planet in some cases, and I'll be working. It is brutal. That is brutal, and that's something I haven't talked enough about. And that's a great question, actually. I should probably do a whole video about that. But I'm just going to tell you like briefly. Let me just show you. I want to show you what I'm talking about, so you can get a very good idea of what I mean. So I'm going to show you here. Here's some videos from me in Thailand. I was in Thailand. I was at the time working for a company, a U.S. company, and I was literally, some of these videos are me working and talking. I'll be working and then I'll just do a quick video and be talking about it. And it's, let me see, is this the video? See how it's night? Yeah, and this video right here, let me see if I can. Yeah, this is this is me. It's daytime in the US, but I was in, I think, the Philippines at this time. I was between Philippines and Thailand. And it was like 3 a.m. there. And I was just talking about breaking everything down about how I'm preparing myself and all that kind of stuff. And how, actually, yeah, in this video, I was talking about how brutal it was to work those two different time zones, because it's literally daytime in the U.S. while it's nighttime there, and it's painful. It hurts. It physically hurts. Especially if you like sleep. Like, watch this. So if I Mountain Standard Time versus Philippines time, Mountain Standard. Look at this. Look at the time difference. The time difference is crazy. It's a 14-hour time difference. So when it's day here, it's night there. When it's night there, it's day here. So I'd be overseas working, and I'm like doing a full day. I've done it a few times, but I'll have a full day overseas, and I am exhausted. And what I do to do this is I won't go to sleep. I get off the plane, and you know how you have jet lag. You just want to take a shower, get in bed, just like go to sleep, and it's daytime in this other country. If you've ever traveled that far before, what I'll do is I'll just stay awake. I'll just stay up, and I'll keep my body acclimated to whatever time my job is, and give myself a little bit of slack, like maybe sleep early or wake up later or something like that. And then but it's worth it, because on the weekends I can do whatever I want. Now I'm still jet lagged and tired because my body's on Mountain Standard Time or Eastern Time or whatever it is, And another thing, like what I've done before, is I've been sent to other countries from a company. A company has sent me to another country, and then I'm working. Like I was working for the federal government, some company, and they sent me to Australia, and I was doing an assessment in Australia, and man, I did not recover. That one was really hard, actually. That was like one of the first times I did that. And I have to work on Australian time. I had to literally switch from Mountain Standard Time to Australian time, and I was having a hard time adjusting. So yeah, I mean, what I do is if I have to stay on Eastern Standard Time, I keep my body on Eastern Standard Time. And it's brutal because I'll be in the Philippines or Thailand or Europe or whatever, and it'll be 3 a.m., but my body is wide awake. And rather than trying to acclimate and get adjusted to the new time, the new light and night, the day and night, system there, I'll just stay awake. That's how I do it. It's really hard to do, but I mean, if you really want to travel and you want to make that money, like continuing to work, then that's what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. I highly recommend it, because even though it's hard to do, to stay awake, it's worth it, because you're living your life. Like you're living your life to the full. I love traveling. So on the weekends or holidays, or sometimes I'll be over there, I'll work for a bit, like 1-2 days, and then I'll take the day off. I'll say, hey guys, I'm going to take this day off, and then I'll have like a long weekend. I'll have like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or I'll have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or something. I'll have like 4 days that I can just have a good time in Europe or in wherever I'm at, and then, then go back to work. That's what I've done. It's been great. I'm going to travel quite a bit more real soon. I've got some trips coming up, and I'm going to hopefully do some videos from there. Hey Bruce, what are your thoughts on VCISO, Virtual CISO career field? What is Virtual CISO? Let me just figure that one out real quick. Live. I'm going to learn this one live. VCISO. VCISO. What is that? Good question. What is Virtual CISO? Virtual CISO. Organizations today host a wide range of information that is due to external value to competitors, state-sponsored. Okay. Chief Information Officer is to establish and maintain an organization strategy and execute to protect its sensitive information. Is this like just a CISO that works remotely? A VCISO is a security practitioner who uses the accumulation of their years of cybersecurity and industry experience to help organizations with developing and managing the implementation of the organization's information security program. At a high level, the VCISO helps to architect the organization's security strategy, with some helping to also manage the implementation internal security staff. Okay, so this is a virtual CISO. Is that what it is, Wayne? Virtual CISO. I mean, like you work remotely, but you're a CISO is what I mean. That's what it sounds like to me. Use case. Okay, let's see. What is the use case of a VCISO? The choice of a VCISO versus a full-time CISO. Oh, so it's not a full-time CISO. Interesting. So allow me to provide a list of possible use cases or things where you would need a VCISO. Bridging and hiring new full-time CISO. Oh, okay, so you have like a temporary CISO who's working remotely and part-time while they find a full-time CISO. Okay, I can see that. I've seen this happen before a couple times. Okay, another use case for a VCISO would be developing a mature cybersecurity program for a small organization. When a full-time CISO is too costly for the SMB, a VCISO works part-time. Oh, okay. Well, that's really cool. No, this is great, man. This is the first time I didn't know. I mean, I think I've heard of it before. I had no idea what it was. This is great. Now I've seen this happen before in a couple organizations, specifically when they're going from one CISO to another. They'll have like a part-time CISO, and usually that person is doing some other job, so they can only do the CISO job for a bit. So like a part-time CISO. Another use case for VCISO is organization of creating a compliance program. Organizations without a current CISO, organizations with or without a current CISO, many not to have the they don't have the expertise on specific compliance mandate. That translates to creating policies and procedures and secure protected information. The VCISO that specialized in a given compliance regulation can assist in developing a strategy and executing a plan. Wow, I could do something like this. Wow. Impressive. Damn. That opens up a whole new world. Thanks, man. It's great information. Realign a cybersecurity spin. Okay, well, I know what it is now. So I think it's awesome. I think VCISO is great, and somebody should hire me as a VCISO. Oh man. So yeah, it's a virtual CISO. It's a part-time and or remote virtual CISOs. Like really, they're describing it as a part-time person, not necessarily remote, but part-time CISO. I've seen this actually quite a bit. And usually they choose somebody who's already in the organization, who's already high up, and they say, hey, this person right here is going to be the CISO until we find a new one that comes in. Hey, Mike, how you doing? A CIO versus a VCISO. Okay, I think I know what it is now. More money as long as it's remote. Good one. All right, let me see if I got another question here. Hey, Wayne, any information on that new, were you still gathering information on that stuff we talked about? Okay, let me see. All right, man, I'm getting so many of these scam ones. I don't know what's going on with that. Okay, I already read that one like a week or two ago. Pure gold. Let me see. What's pure gold? I wish I knew. Wow, people really like this video for some reason. Looking for other questions. I've answered most of these, I think. Yeah, I think I've covered a lot of these. Yeah, I was thinking about doing a project, and let me know what you guys think about this. I was thinking about doing a project under my business where I create a blockchain system, a cloud-based blockchain system. One, to learn more about blockchain and to also get some hands-on experience with cloud. The project, I would get a cloud-based person, like somebody who has AWS, to help me out. And then what we do is we stand up a server, an actual server that we're using on the blockchain to get some Web3 experience, right? We could put it on our resume because I put it under my business. And it actually be running some kind of cryptography, some kind of crypto or something like that. Something would be at stake on that thing. It'd be a node. We'd put a node on the blockchain and we'd run it, and then we'd protect it. And then what we could do is we could run NIST 800 on it. Like we'd do scans on it, we do assessments, we do the preparation stage, all the way to ongoing. And then I could actually have people join me, and then we'd have people get experience. Anybody who would actually join in the project, they'd get experience on doing cloud stuff. They'd get experience on doing blockchain stuff, and then they'd get experience on NIST 800, because we'd run NIST 800 on it. Like we'd have a policy on it. We'd have procedures on how to update the software. We'd have procedures on how to check for malware if we could. We'd have all the documentation piece will be there, and then we'd all have all the procedures. Like we'd have scanning, we'd have ongoing checks and all that kind of stuff. And it would be something that it would be useful, because we'd actually put money on it. It'd be like a tiny little bank with $100 on it or something like that. What do you guys think about that? A project where you could actually put experience. You could say, hey, I stood up a Web3 node on the blockchain. I know blockchain technology. I'm familiar with it. I've actually had hands-on with it. And then you could say, yeah, we stood up a AWS, and then what we could do is tear it down and put it back up again. We could create a node, tear it down, and put it back up again, like a whole bunch of times till all of us got experience with it. Just tear it down, put it up again. Tear it down, put it up again. And then once it was finalized, we had a production level system and a testing system. The testing system, that's the one we just continuously mess around with. Beat it to death, mess with it, tear it down, put it up again, have projects on it, stuff like that. The other one is production level. It has literal money on it and everything. That would be kind of cool. It would be something that we could all learn together. I'd get me some experience on both doing the actual cloud stuff and doing blockchain. Just some project I've been thinking about doing. If I can get enough traction on it, then it'll be just like some of the stuff I've done here. Everything I've done with Convocourses has been stuff that people suggested to me. I thought about it. I was like, what if I did this? And I'm like, nah, whatever, right? And then somebody will keep asking me. People in the chat, people in the comments will say, hey, Bruce, you should do this. Hey, Bruce, do you have this? Hey, Bruce, and people say the same thing over and over again. After a while, I'm like, okay, I think I should do it. Like the SEA course. I've been talking about that for like years, and I'm finally doing it. You're going to start seeing some security assessment stuff come out on it here real soon. I'm not in the middle of it yet, but I just started actually creating videos, so I'm going to start releasing them soon. If it was you, I will teach RMF, not online. Yeah, I'm really interested in doing that. I might actually just go ahead and stand it up and then mess around with it, and then I'll bring some people on. Seriously thinking about it. That would be cool. Oh, you will teach. If I was you, I will teach RMF, not online. I've actually gotten some a few people reaching out to me to teach in person, and I just haven't had I had a full-time job, so I haven't been able to do that. But now I'm opening it up. So what I've done for those of you who just got on here on my site, because very soon here I'm gonna have a lot more time on my hands. So I've got consulting. If you go to the main page, I got consulting, I got coaching, and if you want to contact me directly about anything else, here's my contact information. Anything at all, contact me, see if we can work something out. But yeah, consulting, I'm willing to do it in person. I know people charge a lot for that, to do it in person. I've got offers to do it in person and remotely. And, well, there's something in the works, so we'll see where that goes. I'm not sure. It's been a while, so we'll see where that goes. But anyway, guys, I've been talking for about an hour, and that is my time. And wow, this was a good one. I had a good time on this one, even though only like 5 people showed up. All right, guys.